Welcome to CareerLabsVR Facilitator Training Module 1, Introduction to CareerLabsVR and the Role of the Facilitator. In this module, we will introduce virtual reality and CareerLabsVR, along with exploring why VR is so useful and who can benefit from VR career exploration. We will detail the roles and responsibilities of the facilitator, and that's you, along with introducing the topics that this training will cover. So let's get started. The objective of this training is to provide you, the facilitator, with the information and resources necessary to excel as a guide for career explorers using CareerLabsVR. The facilitator's role is to make sure that the career explorer is prepared, informed, comfortable, safe, and supported, both before, during, and after their VR simulation experience. Throughout the training, you'll hear us use the phrase Career Explorer to describe the client, student, or participant who is using the simulations to explore their career options. Welcome to CareerLabsVR, which combines career exploration with virtual reality, allowing users to experience what it's like to perform common tasks in hands-on careers using fully interactive virtual reality from the comfort and safety of an office or classroom. In other words, CareerLabsVR allows you to test drive a job before you invest in the training or education needed for that career. What is immersive virtual reality? VR is a use of computer and hardware technology to experience a simulated environment. VR uses a headset that covers your eyes and ears so that you see and hear what it would be like if you were somewhere else. You use hand controllers to move objects around and navigate through tasks as they appear in your headset. In CareerLabsVR, you are immersed in an environment that is typical of a chosen career, and you are performing common tasks that someone in that job might do on a daily basis. For example, in the stick welding simulation, you may have to weld a connection while standing on a scaffold and leaning over. This allows you to experience the sights, sounds, and general activities that are normal in the day-to-day life of a welder. There are many benefits to being a CareerLabsVR subscriber. As a subscriber, you gain exclusive access to our simulations and quality resources to support you through the VR facilitation process. Subscribers will learn how to facilitate effective VR experiences for their job seekers, students, staff, and industry professionals. CareerLabsVR can be used in classroom settings, facilitator-led group, or individual experiences, and for both distance and remote-based experiences. Most of the training focuses on one-to-one experiences. However, the information is applicable to group settings as well. Why use VR? Exploring careers and training in VR provides numerous, well-documented benefits, especially when in-person training is otherwise costly, dangerous, or rare. There are a lot of benefits to using VR as both a career exploration tool and a training medium. VR is a safe and cost-effective tool for learning. It increases accessibility to career exploration and training in a variety of jobs. It makes it easier to experience and train in careers where materials may be expensive or difficult to access. It reduces the risk associated with training because a mistake doesn't cause a serious accident in VR. It only simulates what might happen and no one is hurt. VR also has been shown to be better suited for diverse learning styles. It is uniquely accessible to people with learning differences because the multimedia presentation of information imitates the way we experience the world using sight, sound, and touch. Learning by doing is often the most effective way of acquiring new skills, and VR mimics hands-on learning very well. Virtual reality also provides learners with access to visual details that can be hard to show otherwise. For example, illustrating what the inside of a fuel truck looks like when loading and unloading fuel. VR is a great tool for tracking learning, making training more fun, helping people prepare for stressful situations, and practicing skills repetitively. Who can use Career Labs VR for career exploration? Why, everyone. But there are a few expectations to consider for safety. So let's look at some of those considerations now. As a facilitator, it is your job to make sure that the Career Explorer is informed about what the simulation experience will entail. That means letting them know that there can be side effects from using VR for some people, and making sure that they have no health concerns that could prevent them from using it. VR can cause dizziness, nausea, migraines, and headaches. You should discuss this with the Career Explorer ahead of time and have a plan if these symptoms occur. Career Explorers may need support if they experience an unpleasant reaction to the simulation, so it is important to be prepared. If the Career Explorer has a medical history of heart disease, stroke, head injury, epilepsy, or seizures, they should consult a medical professional prior to using CareerLabs VR. If the Career Explorer regularly experiences motion sickness or vertigo, they may find that the simulations can trigger nausea and motion sickness, and they may decide that this is not a good medium for them. If they want to try it, one option would be to do the walkthrough videos on a computer screen first to see how they react. If the Career Explorer is pregnant, they may also decide not to use the VR simulations because of the small risk of disorientation that could cause a fall. One very important note, because the Career Explorer may not wish to disclose a pregnancy or medical concern, you should discuss all risks to the individual as part of the list of safety considerations, and then ask the Career Explorer generally if they have any reason, medical or otherwise, that would prevent them from safely participating, without asking them to tell you what their reason is. This will avoid any privacy violations that may arise from asking about specific medical conditions. Your organization or school should ask Career Explorers to sign a consent form prior to participating, and medical suitability should be covered in those forms. Later in this training, we will review CareerLab VR's screening and consent template, which can be used to inform your document development. It is your responsibility as a facilitator to go through the consent forms and to communicate any and all risks effectively to the Career Explorer. Notwithstanding medical or safety considerations, VR is a technology that is highly accessible and is well designed for all styles of learning. If you are working with an individual who is in career exploration mode, then VR is an appropriate tool, as compared to someone in emergency job search mode, where the goal is to get any job as quickly as possible. There are physical or kinetic learning components where the Career Explorer will learn by doing, combined with audio and written text. There is also the ability for repetition, and the feeling of being present in a different space has been shown to help people remember things because they can visualize items and tasks in context. Finally, for individuals who may have a language barrier, having demonstrations, audio and written instruction, and the ability to do trial and error can make the simulation more accessible, especially when compared to something with a lot of written material. Individuals of all ages and backgrounds should be offered the exact same orientation to the material. As a facilitator, you know not to make assumptions about someone's familiarity with technology based on superficial clues. All ages and stages of life can enjoy the experience of exploring a new career and learning new technology. Don't assume that an individual will not be interested in a career because of their age, gender, sexual orientation, personal presentation, or ability. It is not your job to steer the ship. It is your job to show the Career Explorer what ports they can explore and give them the wheel. In fact, the beauty of VR is that people can explore careers that they may have never considered, or that other people have never suggested to them. Make sure you are opening doors with CareerLabs VR, not reinforcing harmful boundaries. VR can help individuals with disabilities, for example, to understand what accommodations they may want or need to ask for within a job. So don't assume that a career is inaccessible to someone just because they have a visible or invisible disability. VR can be a powerful tool for individuals with disabilities to hear, see, and feel what it would be like to work somewhere that they may not have explored before, which can help them to make their own decisions about their interests, abilities, and comfort in any given setting. As with any interaction with anyone you are helping, start by asking, what questions or concerns do you have? And how can I help? This is just good practice. Finally, just because you don't think a career is going to be a good fit doesn't mean the Career Explorer can't still have the fun of trying it out. Even if they don't end up wanting to pursue a career in welding, they get to see and understand a little bit more of the world. As I have said, the facilitator's role is to make sure that the Career Explorer is prepared, informed, comfortable, safe and supported both before, during, and after their VR simulation experience. To be an effective facilitator, it is important that you know your tech, manage the environment, clarify the explorer's expectations, and add value to the experience. We will go through each one of these in more detail now. Know your tech. Before you are able to facilitate CareerLabsVR immersive virtual reality simulations, you need to be confident using the equipment. This means that you need to spend time in the system, getting to know all aspects of it. Luckily, this part is fun. You get to play with all the simulations. If you are not confident using the system, it may make it harder for you to help the Career Explorer have a good experience. Familiarize yourself with the hardware, the headset, and the controllers. Know how they work, how to care for them, and clean them. Go through the training tutorials and user guides, which can be found in the resource section, so that you know how to run the simulations from a facilitator point of view, including how to change settings and troubleshoot. We recommend that you go through all of the VR simulations at least once before you start facilitating Career Explorer experiences. Sometimes you may want to spend a little extra time so that you can build your confidence, which will make it smoother for you to help the Career Explorer. It is your job to manage the environment. While the Career Explorer is in the simulation, you are their eyes and ears in the real world. That means providing a safe and appropriate space for the simulation and positioning yourself effectively in the room. Before the simulation begins, you should discuss with the Career Explorer under what circumstances you may need to offer them physical support. For example, if they become unsteady, dizzy, or trip, you may need to reach out and support them to prevent a fall. However, you should never touch anyone without consent, so getting explicit verbal consent to take their arm if they are at risk of a fall is important. The Career Explorer can feel confident that you will help them if they need it, and that they have your assurance that you will not touch them unless it is absolutely necessary. Demonstrating your consideration for consent and boundaries is important to help put people at ease. You should also offer to have a third person present in the room if that will also help decrease anxiety. This should be phrased in an open way and not a defensive one. For example, many people like to have a third person in the room for comfort and security. Shall I ask Sue to observe? Consider ways that you can make things go smoothly, such as keeping cell phones and other devices on silent to minimize distractions, and also minimizing other interruptions like people entering the VR space. In Module 3, we will go over how to manage the environment in more detail. And finally, for taking notes on the Career Explorer's interaction with the VR simulation, we recommend a clipboard so that you are able to take notes while still paying attention to the Career Explorer. Clarifying expectations starts even before you have decided to use CareerLabsVR with a Career Explorer. It really begins when you conduct the appropriate screening and walk them through your agency's consent forms. Once you have decided that the Career Explorer is a good candidate for VR, we recommend a guided immersion approach to the simulation. This involves walking them through everything they can expect to experience in the simulation and helping them to adjust to VR. You can help the Career Explorer know what to expect by showing them the headset and controllers ahead of time. Let them hold them, put them on, explain all of the features and functionality, and make sure to ask, what questions and concerns do you have? Take the time to explain the simulation storyline and the tasks they will be doing so that they can visualize it. If it helps, you can also use the walkthrough videos and tutorial applications so that they are more comfortable and know what is going to happen. This is also a good time to clarify the purpose of the simulation. It's not to become a perfect welder, but to discover if the individual would be interested and are able to complete the similar tasks of that job. Even if they are not naturally adept to VR, they will still be able to get a sense of their interest and the context of the career from the simulation, and this will be useful in their career decision making. Because the simulation could involve moving, bending, reaching, and walking, your Career Explorer might want to consider wearing comfortable footwear and clothes in which they can easily move around comfortably. This helps them to stay safe and prevents any falls or trips. Cell phones, for both you and the Career Explorer, are not allowed in the VR simulation. This really helps prevent distractions. And finally, make sure that you explain what you will be doing, where you will be standing, and how you will interact with them during the simulation. If a second observer is coming in, explain where they will be. Taking these steps to reduce anxiety can make people feel more comfortable, which allows them to be more immersed in the VR, have greater satisfaction with their experience, and give them a deeper connection to the activity. You may have noticed that I've repeated a phrase a few times already in this training. What questions or concerns do you have? I've worded it this way on purpose. There can be a difference between asking, do you have any questions or concerns, and what questions or concerns do you have? The wording, do you have any questions or concerns, can imply that the Career Explorer shouldn't necessarily have any questions or concerns given the information that they have received. However, asking, what questions or concerns do you have, opens the door for any areas of clarification needed. It implies it is not only acceptable, but expected to have questions or concerns. When we are aware of our Career Explorer's questions, we can address them. We can't address what we don't know. It may be helpful to give some examples to your client of concerns others have expressed. Here's a table of some examples of concerns along with suggested or possible solutions. If your Career Explorer is concerned because they don't have a lot of experience using technology, you could show walkthrough or fly-through videos, use the tutorials, or allow extra time to practice with the technology. If the Explorer is nervous about not being able to see or hear, you can suggest that they keep one ear flap on the headset up, and you can also reiterate that no one will be touching them without talking to them first. If they are concerned about looking silly or making mistakes, you can again show the walkthrough videos or demonstrate to the Explorer what it looks like. If there is a concern about falling or tripping during the simulation, you can consider offering them the chance to do the experience while being seated to begin with. Your role as a facilitator is to add value to the experience for the Career Explorer. You do this by staying in control of the environment and closely monitoring the Career Explorer while they are immersed in the simulation. While they are immersed, you are their eyes and ears to the real world, and you provide security so that they can enjoy the simulation. Your job is to ensure additional individuals do not disrupt or distract from the experience. The full attention of everyone in the room needs to be on the Career Explorer at all times. You are also supporting their learning by observing their simulation so that you can reflect on the experience later with them. You also have to retain your focus in this journey. It is your responsibility to connect the Explorer's profile information with their CareerLabsVR simulation experience. This type of focus and attention lends itself to deep, meaningful learning that guides the informed career decision-making throughout the CareerLabsVR system. Do you ever wonder what focus might look like or why it is so important? We have a task for you to try. Let's watch this video.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Did you count all 13 passes that the white team made? Did you see the moonwalking bear the first time? In this example, the explorer is counting how many passes the white team makes. You are looking for the moonwalking bear moments. Moonwalking bear moments in this example are things like noticing how the career explorer responds to instructions, or how they react emotionally to the virtual environment. One of the features of the CareerLabsVR system is that with the permission of the Career Explorer, you are able to record the experience as additional evidence to view at a later date. This allows you to point out things such as examples of how the Career Explorer reacts to instructions or events in the simulation, times when they effectively use problem-solving or critical thinking skills, or things they may have struggled with. In order for you to focus on the Explorer, you need to know what they are doing without having to watch the screen and following along. We have developed observation forms for every simulation within CareerLabsVR. For every new career that is released, you will receive a new observation form available to download. Here's an example of the observation form that provides you, the career professional, with a line-by-line script dialogue, trigger action items, which is a list of the actions that have to happen in order to move on to the next step, key terms, this is where we highlight career-specific vocabulary, key experiences or safety, this identifies areas of consideration or places within the experience that highlight a specific element. For example, high-risk or high-pressure tasks, management skills, critical thinking, etc. We have also included a space for you to add your observations as well. Observation forms should be reviewed by the facilitator prior to the CareerLabsVR experience with the client. This helps you to know what's coming and what areas you might want to watch for, such as how someone handles problem-solving skills. One career explorer who used CareerLabsVR got frustrated within the simulation and decided to skip over the instructions, literally driving through walls to try to go to the next task. While at first, this may seem amusing, it also highlights a problem-solving strategy that is more effective in some careers than others. Obviously, in real life, we don't want anyone driving through walls. On a micro level, it speaks to how the individual handles frustration and what they may see as red tape. They may want to look into careers with more creative opportunity or more independence, rather than a career where it is essential to follow tight guidelines. What makes Career Labs more than just another game? One key component is you. You, the facilitator, add the extra value. By bringing the moonwalking bear moments to the attention of the explorer, you give them access to information about themselves that they may not have discovered otherwise. This provides them with the opportunity to make informed choices and decisions. This is what we mean when we are talking about adding value. In summary, CareerLabsVR combines career exploration with virtual reality, allowing users to experience what it's like to perform common tasks in hands-on careers, using fully interactive VR from the comfort and safety of an office or classroom. VR is appropriate for anyone who is interested in exploring their career options, especially if it is risky, expensive, or impractical to try out that career in a real-life setting. The exception is that anyone with a history of heart disease, stroke, head injury, epilepsy, seizures, vertigo, motion sickness, or who may be at an increased risk of problems if they were to trip and fall, such as a pregnant individual, should consult with a medical professional before trying out VR. The facilitator's role is to make sure that the career explorer is prepared, informed, comfortable, safe, and supported both before, during, and after their VR simulation experience. A primary consideration is to be respectful of any concerns or questions that the career explorer may have, and to take all necessary steps to ensure that the career explorer has a comfortable, fun, and informative experience. It is also your responsibility as a facilitator to pay attention to the moonwalking bear moments and record observations that will help the career explorer make decisions about their future career.